What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor at FightfulWrestling.com, FightfulSelect.com, here for a Fightful Select bonus show. Why is it a bonus show? Because our boy Simon Willis brought it back, saved up his rewards. Here we are. I love doing these shows. Simon, also known as the infamous Jason, tell us what you're wanting to do today.
Well, I fancy a Fightful Books It Road to WrestleMania version. Seems the time of year for it, doesn't it? And they're always a bit of fun.
I love it. I love the idea. I love doing it. We're gonna walk down like what they should put on the card, maybe how they should get there. Let's start off where you want to start off. What are you looking at right now?
Okay, so I'd say for Daniel Bryan's opponent, I'd go with, I think, either at Elimination Chamber or next Tuesday. I'd have Luke Harper align with Rowan and Bryan and a little faction going. And then I'd have him put on some good TV matches, but ultimately do some good heel beatdowns on whoever he faces with Harper and Rowan. And then maybe a couple of weeks before Fastlane, I'd have Bray, shock horror from me, but I'd have Bray Wyatt return and face off, but have the roles reversed a little bit. So the Wyatt family are with Daniel Bryan rather than Bray.
I love that idea.
From there.
I love that idea. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like the idea of building it. You know, Bray can face off against the other two. They can have this sort of thing, and then at WrestleMania, you can go almost full circle to their previous feud, where you have Bray win his first ever WrestleMania, victory. So that'll get a big pop anyway. He'll be different because he's a baby face for once. So it's a completely new take on his character. And if they wanted to go the whole hog, they could have it turn out that Harper and Rowan did what Daniel Bryan did to them, in that they were never really with him. They just used him to get Bray where that's just like a little added bonus for me, I think, that one. But
so what I'll try to do is whatever program that you set up, I'll try to set up a different program to kind of get us some legs. So I love the Bray idea.
Okay.
I think that's a great way to reintroduce him. They have history. They have a lot of stuff from video packages you can refer back to. There's a lot of that. If we're going a different route, I would capitalize off what they did on Tuesday with Kofi Kingston. And I would still bring back Luke Harper. And then you've got a month or a month and a half, 2 months of New Day, Daniel Bryan, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan programming that leads up to Daniel Bryan against Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania, probably opening the show on the pay-per-view portion of that. Like sometimes they'll start off with that type of event, that type of match. I think that this is the perfect time to capitalize on that. And I would also capitalize on that by running at that Fastlane show a 6-man tag between these two. It doesn't have to headline. It doesn't have to be the main event, but these 6 guys are going to tear it up. In addition, I would find a way, if just based on this angle, if we're working around this, to incorporate New Day and Harper and Rowan into whatever tag team match is going to be at WrestleMania. I would love a multi-team tag match that involves Shane McMahon and The Miz and the Usos and New Day and Harper and Rowan. You want to talk about a ready-made ladder match and one that Shane McMahon can highlight himself in? There you go. But I think right now is the perfect time to capitalize on Kofi Kingston. He has a great groundswell of support. There are options for Daniel Bryan that, quite frankly, didn't look like they would be there a while back. I don't think you can go Samoa Joe. I think they've done that too many times. I think AJ, they've done that too many times. I think if they put AJ and Joe in there, it just seems like a different version of that. But I like the ideas of Bray Wyatt and or Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, and I think sorry. Yeah, good night, mate. Sorry. I think with the New Day stuff as well, is you could give me 20 minutes or 15 minutes of Luke Harper versus Big E on just a SmackDown. I'll take that all day long. And you could have some interesting matchups. I think with Kofi, he's not getting any younger. So I think now's the time. If you're going to put him in that big slot, probably, now's as good a time as ever. I still want to see Big E get that singles push. But I think the work that they did with Kofi was so good on Tuesday that you're right. Now's the time. As much as I would like to see Bray and Daniel Bryan, I would not be disappointed if it was Kofi and Daniel Bryan for the title. It's a good opener as well for WrestleMania. It's one hell of an opener.
It would surprise me personally. I don't have any insight on this past this, but I would be surprised if they brought Bray back in that role. He's been ready since November. He's been fine. He had some heat on him because of his personal issues carrying over into his work. It was a big part of them losing the tag titles, he and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was hurt anyway, but that car wreck, a lot of the blame was pointed at Bray Wyatt, and he got a lot of blame for that because, I mean, it was his fault. And then his divorce affected things, but who knows? Anything's possible in that scenario, and I think that he would be a fitting opponent considering the history.
Yeah, he'd be a good Raw after WrestleMania re-debut, I think, as well. He'd get that big pop because people always want the big surprise, don't they, on the Raws and the SmackDowns. So maybe if he's had some heat, you could run that program back after Mania, something interesting after that, and you can have him re-debut on TV, the following day.
I always feel bad for the guys that have to come back on that show because they miss WrestleMania, and I'm like, damn, because obviously they were good to go. It's not like they got cleared overnight between WrestleMania. Yeah. What else? Well, first off, let's talk Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, because that is one, they're going to do it, obviously. They're going to do a women's version too. The issue I've had with this is they're starting to turn it back into the old pre-show battle royal. I don't care if it's on the pre-show. That's fine. Make this mean something. Make it mean more than a trophy. Now, they've had Baron Corbin, Big Show, Cesaro, Mojo Rawley, Matt Hardy all win this, none of which would ever go on to win a world title after this. So you see that this is truly the mid-card type of thing. Last year, I was okay with the Matt Hardy thing because it had a little bit of story to it. I cannot believe in 2016 they didn't have Mark Henry win that as his farewell. If you want to add some stakes to this, have a guy like Mark Henry say, you know what, I'm retired, but I got to win this thing. I have to win this thing. It's somebody like that adds some sense of meaning to this match, and just think, I got to win this. It's one thing I haven't done. I've been a world champion. I've been a champion here. I've done this. I've wrestled Undertaker at WrestleMania. Add some emotion to this. That's what I would really, really like to see. How do you see this going? Because really what this is the scraps. It's what's left over.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, if they're not going to use it to push on to a world title program or picture or shot, is just make it for the Intercontinental title or the US title. They get a shot when they want, so it means something first of all, and then from there you either can go like the route you're saying, like with like Mark Henry, that feel good moment, or you use it to build someone, or just do something with someone who you're not doing anything with. God, the latest round of NXT call-ups have been horrific.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievably bad. And like, I feel so sorry for those guys. I feel so sorry for Sanity and people. They're really talented people who could do a lot of good things, but they just don't get the TV time. I think I would go with EC3 because they've done nothing with him. It doesn't look like they've got some big match planned for Mania. So put him in the Battle Royal, let him get the big win, and then have him come out on the Monday after, and use the promo skills that he's very clearly got, instead of just being a mute.
I would go as far as to not have him talk until then, and then have him go on a live mic on Raw and say that he hasn't been allowed to talk for months, and kind of use that anti-establishment angle to his advantage. I mean, if you're going to go this far with it, you might as well. You look back at the previous winners, Cesaro, they thought that was going to lead to a bigger push. All fairness to them. He didn't need to be paired with Paul Heyman after that. He was a big baby face. Big Show, I'm okay with him winning one because at some point, Big Show's got to win a battle royal. I mean, that's how you perpetuate this thing. Baron Corbin, they thought it was going to be a big debut. I'm okay with that. Mark Henry should have won that, though. Mojo Rawley was the one I had a problem with. I get it. They wanted Gronk to be on TV, on the screen, all that. But what you could have done is had this all happen after the match, and then Gronk and Mojo beat his ass, because Braun Strowman should have won that match. Not only should Braun Strowman have won that match, Braun Strowman should have eliminated every single competitor in the entire Battle Royal. It should have been a clean sweep. Braun, one by one. If you want to really get somebody over, hey, maybe you don't have anything for Braun, because I don't see what the hell they do have for Braun. I would not be opposed to that happening either, where Braun comes in, eliminates every single person from the Battle Royal, and wins. The Matt Hardy thing, that was the start of the Bray Wyatt deal, so I was okay with that. Also, it gave Matt Hardy a good win. On the women's side of things, this will be a little bit more complicated because we have women's tag team titles now as well. So the field is going to be thinned out a little bit for this women's battle royal, which I don't think that they're going to name it or anything. I think it's just the women's battle royal or whatever it is.
Sure.
We, as of this moment, we don't know if they're still going to do this match. It's not been announced or anything. Do you think they'll do it? And if so, how do you go about doing this and making it matter? Personally, I think a solid move would be, hey, whoever wins this match, they get a title shot. There are several different titles now. There are a lot of women's titles. Say, hey, you can challenge for a title on your brand. Add some stakes to it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to fill it up with some NXT girls, which is fine because you've got some very talented women on the NXT and NXT UK. So there's plenty to work with.
Sorry to interrupt. Last year they did it to where like several had a country represented.
Yeah. I think I was leaning towards Bianca Belair because I think that would be a good way to introduce her. However, I didn't really enjoy. I did enjoy it, but I wasn't into a program with Shayna. It was all right. The build-up was pretty good. The match I enjoyed, but I thought she looked a bit green. So maybe might be a bit too soon for that for her. But then Shayna could be ready. You could have her and the horsewomen come up and dominate, and she could get like a big win. And then if Ronda comes back, you can build Shayna up ready for when Ronda comes back next year. Assuming she comes back, say around November time, if Shayna Baszler's been on a tear, either with or without the other two, you got it perfectly primed then for the four horsewomen feud. But you can, there's Io Shirai, there's a couple of girls down in NXT who would be probably a good shout. I'm hoping Sasha and Bayley will be in the tag team match, assuming they're going to do one. Unfortunately, what I think they will do is if it's not Sasha and Bayley versus Tamina and Nia in a tag team match on the main show or in the pre-show, I think one of them will probably win it because they see it as their Andre moment at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, it seems to be only Vince and Tamina which see it.
Yeah, I see. Well, we can go right into it. The women's tag team title match. I think it has to be based on heat, based on what's happening. Tamina and Nia Jax should probably win the titles, and then the moment should be Sasha Banks and Bayley at WrestleMania as a team winning those titles. I would give Nia Jax and Tamina a win over another team at Fastlane, really help establish them. Maybe another one on Raw too, or SmackDown, wherever the hell you want to do it, because there's one set of titles. I would definitely do that. I would have them go on a little bit of a reign of terror over the next 2 months and dominate people. I mean, one-sided ass whipping on people. And then I think it's Sasha Banks and Bayley's moment at WrestleMania. Otherwise, I mean, already what they did in 2018 with these two women was a waste. They completely wasted a year of these two women's lives. They need to win these titles at WrestleMania. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I had it laid out in my mind. I think the only other choice maybe to win in the chamber match is the Riot Squad, because I feel like they were quite, especially Ruby Riot. She was quite hot last year. She was having good matches and she was doing really good promos, and they just completely cooled her off.
Yeah.
Whereas this match with Ronda on Sunday could really mean something. It could be really, if they'd done this like a year ago, or if Ruby's character was where it was a year ago, I'd be really pumped for it on Sunday, and it's not. So I think the best is Nia and Tamina to go on a bit of a tear, dominate. And I mean, everyone was saying, when before Charlotte took Becky's place in the main event, it was to have the 4 horsewomen stood at the end of Mania would have been the perfect, with all the gold, would have been the perfect ending scene, feel good moment. And they haven't had that for a few years because their main event has been shit on, basically.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of had it with Seth Rollins. Kind of. He was a heel, though. Yeah. But everybody loved the finish. So, because it didn't happen with Reigns and Lesnar. It didn't happen with Reigns and Undertaker. And what was it before that? Reigns and Triple H. Nobody gave a damn about that.
Yeah.
So
common denominator.
Yeah, it was Rollins or it was Daniel Bryan. So as we transfer over from the women's tag titles, we have 2 sets of men's tag team titles. Now, I'm a little bit torn. I think that a tag team ladder match with the abundance of tag team talent that SmackDown has would be outstanding. However, as I'll mention later, with whatever situation the U.S. title is in right now, I think the U.S. title might need that gimmick. Because all due respect to R-Truth, I think he might need that. The SmackDown situation, you have almost an embarrassment of riches. You have so many teams that are good and could be good. On Raw, it's a little more slim pickings. You got the Revival, Rude and Gable, and then a bunch of other stuff that people are hurt and all that. How do you see the Raw tag team title situation unfolding? Because I don't think Nicholas is going to come back and try to make himself 2-0.
Damn. Good. He's really looking forward to that again. I think, so I had 2 things for the tag teams in mind, and both were interpromotional, basically. Because I think they'd be better having one set of tag titles and actually doing something with all the teams than trying to, because SmackDown is loaded, Raw is not, and they don't do anything with any of them. Whereas I think if they've got one belt, they can use them a bit more on Raw when you've got the 3 hours. So I think if it was going to be a singles match, I'd have the Revival come out next Monday, and they cut a promo, best tag team in the world, etc., etc. No one can touch us. Maybe have a match before they cut the promo and win convincingly. And then I'd have the Usos come out and say, no, we're the best tag team in the world. And I would build it on not too much necessarily animosity in terms of like hatred or like a personal feud. I would build it on 2 teams who just want to be the very best and just like a real competitive streak. I'm undecided whether I think they should definitely unify the titles or whether they should just do a champion versus champion match. If it wasn't going to be a singles match, then I think I would go with like a ladder match. And then you got Sanity, Harper and Rowan, New Day, the Good Brothers. Can't leave them out, even though they seem to get left out of everything.
It's so one-sided. All the talent is on SmackDown with the exception of the Revival. And Gable and Rude are okay too. I do like Gable and Rude, but they've got so many people on SmackDown. Like the Good Brothers can't get on TV. Sanity can't get on TV.
Do you know do you think Killian Dane's going to get a bit of heat for his consistent tweeting, or do you think it's part of a
No,
greater thing.
I don't think he will. I think that they're too afraid to put heat on anybody right now because they don't want anybody to leave. That's the
Well,
situation we're
he's
in.
so talented.
Mm-hmm.
Such a waste. Yeah, I'd go with a ladder match, probably like 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown, maybe. And if you're not going to unify the titles, you just do it as a ladder match, maybe for the titles of their brand. So both titles are up there. But if a SmackDown team wins, they win the SmackDown titles, something like that, maybe. Or even if they wanted to do a singles match, whichever way, they could do a ladder match for the tag teams and do it as a number 1 contender match. So at least you get them on the show doing something good match, and it means something instead of just a nothing match which no one pays attention to.
On the SmackDown side of things, as I've mentioned, a lot more options. I'm inclined. See, the ladder match is the easy answer to so many different things because, and the thing is, as we're filming this, I've posted the live stream on Select for Tier 2 members, but as we're filming this, Jimmy Uso was arrested last night and squared up with cops.
Oh, no.
Police sources
I say they're losing on Sunday.
Police sources say he took off his shirt, squared up with a cop after he and Naomi were pulled over for going the wrong way on a one-way street. Cop pulled taser but didn't deploy. He was arrested and taken to jail, bonded out. Fuck!
Oh.
Wow.
Shit.
He had himself a day.
He ain't winning on Sunday.
No, hell no.
Jesus.
So pardon me. I had to send that to Jimmy Van as that happened. So far we have Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston or Bray Wyatt, with the team members of Harper and Rowan perhaps getting involved into a tag match. We have maybe a Shayna Baszler winning the women's battle royal, maybe EC3 or Braun Strowman winning the men's battle royal. I didn't really make a selection for the women's battle royal. You got to launch somebody with it. So if not Shayna, I would maybe even say Mandy or Sonya, because Sonya's going to be on Total Divas. They're going to put some stock into her because of that. Rightfully so as well. I'm a big fan of her. I think that would be a good one. You could always go the Naomi route, and it's like you give an established person that win. We're talking tag titles too. I wouldn't mind the Miz and Shane McMahon in a ladder match because I think that's the best use of Shane McMahon, honestly. I don't like the idea of Shane and the Miz one-on-one. I like what they have. I think it's really good. On the Raw side of things, oh my God, it's hard to pick. Usually we have too many options. We don't have very many though. And given the Uso, one of them just got arrested. That would be kind of rough, but yuck. Now we've got other titles. We got Intercontinental title. This weekend, we're going to see Finn Balor against Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Finn Balor walking into WrestleMania with the Intercontinental title seems like a bigger deal than Lashley. All due respect to Lashley. What do you envision for maybe Finn Balor or the Intercontinental title in general? Because I don't think this one will be in a ladder match.
I would like to see Finn Balor face AJ for the Intercontinental title.
How do you get there?
That's maybe you'd have to do some sort of trade or something. I don't know quite. You'd have to work out a way. Maybe Vince decides he wants to move Charlotte away from Becky to Raw, and they swap him and her and Finn. I'm not quite sure how you get there, but if you could get it, I'd build off the match they had when they had all the illnesses, when it was like a last minute thing, and they just had a really competitive babyface versus babyface match. And I would start the program like that, as if they're going to do the same thing. And after the first promo, I'd have Finn throw up the 2 sweets as if to say, "Good luck, let's go." and then I'd have Gallows, Anderson, and Balor turn on AJ, because I've had enough of babyface Finn. I want to see heel Finn. And,
I see that. I see
real
that
rock and
happening
broker Finn.
after the shakeup, because I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna switch anybody.
They won't change. Yeah,
they won't switch anybody
other
before,
option-
especially with the shakeup already announced. However, I do see we're not going to build a hard and fast card, but we will talk about options. If Braun Strowman doesn't have anything going on and he's not in that battle royal, Braun Strowman competing for the Intercontinental Championship makes that Intercontinental Championship more important as well. Even if you've got Drew McIntyre, you've got Bobby Lashley involved, those four guys have been intertwined nonstop. So I could see a situation where they possibly contend for it, although they do seem like they're setting up Kurt Angle for some sort of singles glory. I wouldn't be opposed to Kurt Angle stepping in and scoring a surprise Intercontinental title victory either. But that really depends on how serious they get with Angle and how committed they are to it. Outside of AJ, who do you see as a possibility?
I'd quite like to see McIntyre and Balor for the IC title. I think they could have a really good match. They've got good chemistry. And like you say, they've been intertwined on and off for pretty much the past year. Same with, like Braun. And the other option is if you go for someone completely new or fresh and you go back to like your EC3s or Ambrose and Balor. I think I've seen that match a bit too much, though. I think Braun or McIntyre, I think, would be my choices. Right.
Yeah, you got to have some singles matches on the show. You can't always have multiple person matches. Yeah. And also, as I'm looking at the roster, another tag team we didn't even talk about right now is Nakamura and Rusev. Like, yeah, Nakamura and Rusev, Sanity, the Usos, Shane McMahon and The Miz, The Bar, New Day, the Good Brothers. I don't even know if I mentioned Sanity, all in one brand. Meanwhile, when you get about Rowan and Harper, that's like 9. You go 3 deep on Raw right now. I don't know what's after the top 2, because the AOP, one of them's out. The B team.
And the Lucha. I can't even finish it. I hate them so much.
Yeah, they suck. Here's my question. Does The Undertaker wrestle at WrestleMania?
I hope not.
What I would like to...
he's a legend.
Yeah. What I would like to see... Situation. Sorry to interrupt. Obviously, the connection's a little off. But I'd like to see Elias come out, perform a song, make an open challenge, and he's squashed by The Undertaker. I think that's the best use of Elias. Him to heal the whole crowd, eat a choke slam and a tombstone. That's a wrap. No advertising, no promoting. You don't have to build up all that stuff. And if you want to bring in The Undertaker in the future, you can do that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see him do that on the big shows and just squash like a mouthy heel. I don't really want to see him trying to wrestle anything over a couple of minutes, because I just feel like I could feel the pain that he's going through as he's running. And I don't need to see that no more.
As opposed to The Undertaker, another big name, John Cena. I think it's ready-made. You do him and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, quote-unquote, hurt him, eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. That is a big spot for Drew McIntyre. But here's the thing. Drew's got to win. It can't be a Bray. Definitely. It can't be a Rusev. It can't be like that. Drew has to win.
I'd have him win convincingly, like not quite as convincingly as he beat Angle, but I'd have him pretty dominant all the way through. I would have him beat him clean, and I would make it a #1 contender match as well. So you've got a program going straight after Mania. Assuming Seth beats Brock, there you go. You've got McIntyre ready and loaded off the back of beating Cena. First program.
I might not even make it a top contender match. I would make it implied. And then the night after, when Seth Rollins is in the ring with his celebration, then you have Drew come out and say, listen, I just beat the guy who has run this company for 15 years. It's my time now, me and you, and that's how I build it. I don't think there's anybody else for Cena. Nobody. Could have been EC3 if they built him right, but they didn't build him right.
I always fancied Samoa Joe versus Cena at Mania.
Yeah.
I really liked that. But
Cena's a free agent. That could happen.
Yeah, every time they've put Joe in a big position, it's like a fart in church. He does these awesome promos. He builds it up so well, and he's so good in the ring, and it's genuinely a good match. And you're just thinking, come on, this is it now. This is his time. He's going to win. And then he loses again. And it's just like, oh, all the hard work. And he's so good on the mic. So good. So believable.
We, of course, have the possibility of Triple H. If he is healthy at all, it's got to be him and Batista. I don't think there's any debate about that. But there are a few other names. There's the SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka. I don't see anything on the horizon for her. It is the Raw Tag Team division is the SmackDown Women's division right now. When you pull Charlotte Flair, you pull Becky Lynch out of that, it's like, man, it's rough. Now, I definitely think on the road to WrestleMania, Lana should get a title shot. Even if it's a quick squash match, Lana was taken out of the Royal Rumble. That should be her make good. Kind of like how R-Truth got his title shot. Lana should get one. If Asuka beats her in 5 seconds, that's fine. But it makes too much sense to not do that on SmackDown or not do that on Fastlane and just have that there. But as we look at the remaining members of this female roster, Zelina Vega, it ain't going to be her. Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, not going to be them. Lana, doubt it. Mandy Rose, maybe, but I would be very shocked. It ain't going to be Sonya Deville. What I think should happen, this is a situation, Simon, where I do believe that, like how you mentioned AJ Styles coming over with the Intercontinental title, why not a Raw wrestler saying, hey, you got 2 SmackDown people competing for our title, so why don't we get to compete for theirs?
Yeah, and I think there's more choice on Raw, isn't there? I personally see I'd have Sonya and Mandy have a really good showing on Sunday. Maybe one of the last teams to be eliminated. And then I would have Sonya go on a bit of a tear, tapping people out, showing her, because her ring work's pretty good, her strikes are magnificent. And I would not be opposed to giving her and Asuka 8 to 10 minutes of some grappling and just smashing each other in the face for 10 minutes. I think that could be a lot of fun. But you need to build Sonya up to do that. Otherwise, like, you couldn't just do it now because she's done nothing. They don't use, they haven't showcased her skills for a long time. In terms of Raw women, there's a bit more choice, isn't there? There's a few more women who could slot into there more comfortably than your Peyton Royce or someone, Billie Kay and Lana. They're not quite up to the standard that you would need, I don't think. I mean, I suppose they could put Naomi in there, but I don't really want to see that match massively. Naomi's very hit and miss for me. Sometimes, I think, oh, she's really good. She's over the hill and she's getting where she should be. And then a couple of weeks later, she just looks sloppy and careless.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Who else is on Raw?
Well, you could run Ruby Riott against Asuka. I mean, that is such a... Or you could... Man, I hate to bang the multiple person match drum because a lot of your top players are going to be in the Raw match and the tag team title match. And then who's not left is going... God, this is a crazy one. This is a crazy one I'll throw out there. The Battle Royal could be the SmackDown Women's title match. And Asuka could beat everybody and retain it. That could be how they make Asuka go wild. She could be like, I'll defend it against everybody. How about everybody?
Yeah, be mad.
And then she
When you
wins
said that, I thought you. When you said that, I thought you were going to say the winner of the battle royal
You could do
would
that
face
too.
Oscar on the show, and then you can use a Shay if you wanted to really build up someone, whether it's Shayna or Nikki Cross or someone who's relatively new to the audience, and you want them to be an instant threat as you have them dominate the battle royal, and then face Oscar on the pay-per-view, and they either go close or they could win, depending on where they want to go, who it is. I feel like Oscar needs to go on a big long run of victories. They don't have to be 2-minute dominating squashes, because she's capable of putting on great matches with the right opponent. It's just trying to find an opponent, let alone the right opponent at the moment.
Yeah, as I look at things, just basically based on their own promotional malpractice, I really think Asuka defending that title in the Battle Royal is the right move and can reestablish her, as if the title didn't reestablish her enough. It's pretty nuts, man.
It would have established her if she'd been on TV since she won it.
Obviously, we're going to Rollins and Brock Lesnar. How would you get there?
I feel like they're going to go, Brock's invincible. He's going to keep winning the face-offs in the ring, and he's going to keep beating him up, and he's going to keep beating him down. And Rollins is going to be like the plucky baby face who will never give up, and he's passionate about the business. That doesn't really do it for me. But I suppose they could do that. But I'd like to see Rollins acknowledged that the most successful people against Brock in the last year or so has been Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. They've taken him close. And I'd like to see him adopt some of the methods that they used, whether it's trolling him and winding him up like Daniel Bryan did to make him angry and then take advantage of that, or just using his speed and quickness in situations where, so it's not just always in the ring, face off, promo, someone beats up someone. Maybe I'd like to see Rollins embrace his architect persona a bit and come up with some different scenarios, some different ways to get at him, to try different things instead of just the same suplex, F5, or pull apart. All the roster comes and pulls them out. We see that every year from Brock Lesnar. I'd like to see them try something different, different parts of the arena. Seth Rollins is a creative guy. Get him doing some creative things.
We also have, there's not a lot to really book on that one because we know that's the match. We know that's it. We've talked about what we want to see afterwards. The Drew thing, that's there. That's ready. That's good to go. We also have a United States title. Right now it's on R-Truth. And since he won it, Simon, he's not been on TV.
Yeah.
So
what do you, Oscar?
Yeah, what do you do with that, and where do you go, and how do you get to WrestleMania?
So if we're assuming that they're not going to do a ladder match for the tag team, I think this needs a ladder match. I think the title needs it because R-Truth's got it, and I think it's a good title to get your Rusevs, your Nakamura's, your Xavier Woods, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, even your Ambrose. We haven't got Ambrose on the card at the moment. Kofi. I think I'd go, if it was me, I'd go with a ladder match with a load of high flyers and sort of aerial guys. I think I would go with those 8. So Rusev, Nakamura, Xavier Woods, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, Kofi, and then 2 others. But R-Truth would have to be in there. And
here's the thing. outside of the highly improbable AJ Balor match, we don't really what's AJ doing on this show?
Oh, that's very true. You could, I suppose, AJ did quite well with the US title, didn't he? Before he had a good run with it, and he brought a bit of things. So I suppose AJ seems a bit of a waste in a multi-man
Sure does.
match, but it's just where do you go? They don't seem to have anything set up for him singles wise at the moment.
He's had his top run, and now he's exhausting all of his other opportunities. So, I mean, maybe they could come up with something creative where he's starting to doubt himself for being able to do this. But I don't know, man. With AJ, and I mean, you've already done AJ and Cena. He's the free agent, so you can't really go that route for that. Oh, they what they do is they run so many of these matches into the ground and they throw them away ahead. That way, when they have the opportunity at WrestleMania, they're no longer special. It's like there are so many options, but they're hamstrung by how deep or shallow they have created a division. They have such a deep SmackDown tag division, but they have such a thin women's division on SmackDown without Charlotte and Becky, a thin Raw tag team division. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, you've done everything. You've got everybody. Yeah. Maybe something with Mustafa Ali. God, I don't know. What's he going to do? He's going to be healthy by then.
I'd put the title on him. I would, the US title
on Mustafa.
That's a good feel. Yeah, that's a good feel-good moment. And say what you could do is if you did the AJ doubting himself, is you could have AJ, everyone down, AJ on the ladder, about to get the US title. Mustafa Ali hops up super quick, pushes him off, wins the title, and then maybe AJ's doubt turns to a heel turn post WrestleMania, and then you've got the Good Brothers if necessary, if you want to go down that route, or if you just want to make him just tweak his character a bit, make him interesting again for different reasons. All the best characters develop and Cheerios and what's happening. Go back. The other thing I was thinking about AJ is if you wanted to give him a one-on-one match, you could go one-on-one with Orton. That's a match they seem to have saved. I think they may have done it on TV once or twice, but they haven't. They never gave him they didn't do like a full match. I think it was interrupted at the end.
And this past Tuesday, they kind of launched that, like Randy Orton, kind of scummy. I would like AJ to cut a promo before Elimination Chamber about how he doesn't have respect for that, how he has because we saw the complete opposite. We saw how AJ approached Kofi with the utmost respect when he had been in there for an hour. Meanwhile, Orton didn't have that same respect. So I would love to see Orton slither away and avoid AJ Styles. I like that. I like AJ Styles and Randy Orton. Yeah. You can tell from a WWE perspective, they think those two are big names. If you want to put the U.S. title on one, I don't hate that. All due respect to R-Truth.
No.
All due respect to R-Truth. Yeah. That's not a spot for him. I think that Randy Orton, AJ Styles with the U.S. title is a possibility, or Mustafa Ali winning that U.S. title is a real good opportunity. I like both of those ideas. I like how you got there with the AJ, and man, I think that's a solid one. And the way you get two pretty solid marquee names on this show, and not only that, you put it in a singles match. They don't have to be in a multiple person match, as we say. Yeah. Although really, if there are more than one person in a match, it's a multiple person match, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is, isn't it? It's just the way it is.
So
what about
go ahead.
I was just going to say one match that I really want to see is Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. I wouldn't mind if it was a hair versus mask, but to be honest with you, I'd be happy for them to open the show 15 minutes, just go balls to the wall for the whole 15 minutes. None of this slow build up, and all the crap they normally do. Just let those two go balls to the wall, almost work like an indie match. Get the crowd pumped straight off. Because those two, their chemistry is so good. And like, I know there was rumors about putting them together as like some sort of stable or whatnot.
Yeah.
Is you could get there from that if you don't do the hair versus mask step. You just have them go balls to the wall for 15 minutes. Whoever wins, they sort of have a moment afterwards and hug or whatever. Mysterio's earned the heels respect, and then that could be the start of a tag team or a stable, whatever they want to do. But I do feel like I want that match at some point on that Mania card, as long as it's not on the pre-show.
I think Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, there's some people being worked this week, haven't there?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as we posted on Fightful Select, they wanted Charlotte in the match because they want her around and they want to build a division around each of these women. I get it. The match is going to be great. It writes itself. What do we need to book there? That is what it is. It's going to be the biggest women's wrestling match of all time.
Oh, yeah. And I think, like, don't get me wrong, I wanted Ronda Becky one-on-one. That just felt like such a big deal and such a big match. It just felt perfect for them to have that one-on-one closed Mania. But I can see it from their point of view in that Ronda's going. And if Becky's just like 3 tiers above everyone else, you can't buy anyone else to feud with her because she's just run through everyone, won the Royal Rumble, got busted open here and there, and just she's so much more over than everyone, male and female, that you almost need to put Charlotte in the match because Charlotte's now got just unbelievable heat because everyone hates her because she's in the match and they didn't want her in the match. And at the moment, she's obviously in the match and Becky's out. But obviously we know, or we think, that they're going to add Becky back into it. I just think at the back of my mind, I've got this thing that I think, Becky's going to win, obviously. And then at the back of my mind, I think Vince McMahon is going to swerve the fans and Charlotte will win. And she'll be like, heat, she's the biggest heel ever. And it's like, yeah, it's WrestleMania. People just want a main event, which they can cheer, and their guy wins at the end. That's all they want.
Yeah, the booking for Heat thing, that's got to go in this situation. She is the biggest baby face that they have had in a long time, and they've really fucked it up a couple of times. Rollins over.
Yeah, they got lucky.
Braun over, and they compromise everybody to get Roman Reigns over. Now they don't have the option, and you better damn well believe that if Roman Reigns was still around, bless the guy, they would have him and Becky fighting back-to-back, locking arms like Chuck Norris and that kid in that stupid fucking movie where they kicked into the air and all that. They would be, slug. Becky would throw a Superman punch. Roman Reigns would have put a disarmor on some guy. They would do each other's moves. It would be cutesy and all this shit. Damn. Oh, yeah. So we have some people left over. We've got Kevin Owens. We've got maybe Sami Zayn. We've got some names out there. Like what do they do?
The easy thing would seem put Kevin and Sami in a match. Have them re-debut back together as if they're together and have one turn on the other.
Raw tag team.
Run it back.
Raw tag titles.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
There we go.
That's it.
Yes, there we go. Put the titles on them.
Woo, boy. Them and the Revival.
Oh, them versus the Revival. Oh, yes.
The Revival. Oh, my gosh. Just
hey.
Give it to me. Yeah. I want it. I want it. That's it.
Inject it into my veins.
We've done it. We're geniuses. That's it. That's how you do it.
See,
we can move on. There's no debating that. It's Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Revival. That's it. One we haven't talked about is the Cruiserweight title. Now, nobody is over on that brand from an outside perspective. Buddy Murphy's kind of close because he's gotten that exposure. The wide base knows Buddy Murphy can wrestle. Now, we've beaten this drum. If R-Truth has the U.S. title, that's a ladder match. If they need to fit a bunch of SmackDown teams in, that's a ladder match. But if you want to build the 205 Live brand on the WWE Network, you could do a ladder match here for the Cruiserweight title and have all these guys really showcase what they can do. Put this on the pre-show by design. Put a ladder match on the pre-show. Why is that? Because then people on Facebook, people on YouTube, people on Twitter that are watching this pre-show can see what all these people can do. A lot of people wonder why 205 Live is on the pre-show so much. I was straight up told by somebody in WWE, a lot of times it's because we want to sell them on 205 Live, so they will then order the network and order the pay-per-view that night. If they don't go that route, who do you see challenging?
It's difficult. There's no one which is like over to the level where you think, oh yeah, there's loads of guys which are okay, and they're pretty good. They're really good in the ring, and I enjoy watching them. But there's no one that's like that next little level up who's got everything. And then you look at NXT, and there's so many guys down there who would fit the bill. But I think Lio Rush, I think I'd like to see in a title match, because whenever he's wrestled on Raw, they haven't quite let him go, have they? They've sort of held him back, and he's either taken a bit of a beating or he's been like avoiding the person he's against. They haven't really let him showcase quite what he's capable of. And I think even though it would be technically heel versus heel, I think I would like to see him in that position, because the Raw viewers are familiar with him as well. And I think it would do him some good for people to see what he can do in the ring, not just as Bobby Lashley's ass man.
I like Lio Rush because he has the Raw exposure. The wide base knows who he is. Also, I've said this on numerous shows. He is the most physically talented person I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. I've never seen people do some of the things that he has done. But I think that would be a good way to do it. You're like, okay, you're getting 205 Live some exposure, and the match is going to be awesome, of course. But it's a guy that people know from Raw. People who are there in the arena are like, okay, I don't watch 205 Live, but I know Lio Rush. I know him. And I remember Buddy Murphy because Buddy Murphy had that great match at Super Showdown and had this great match at this pay-per-view because he's Buddy Murphy. I like that. I would go Lio versus Buddy at WrestleMania or a ladder match. So I'm trying to write all these down. I think it's a pretty damn good looking card. Now, there are going to be people that we missed and that people will say, what about this person? What about this person? Well, we'll kind of walk back to it. But right now, as I look, let's see. 15 matches. Hot dog. Jesus. Now, here's what we have. For the U.S. title, a few options. A ladder match, multiple person match, get a lot of people on there. Or Mustafa Ali wins this title. Now, we're presuming a heel takes the title in the interim. I like that. Or it goes on to what we think it would be AJ Styles versus Randy Orton in a singles match. Because quite frankly, you might need a prop to get people to care about a Randy Orton match. That's just the sad reality of it. The Raw Tag Team titles, which we were just frustrated over forever. Bam, right back. A babyface KO and Sami Zayn against the heel Revival tag team titles. I don't think there's another option.
Nope, and I wouldn't want it.
I love that. Then you have Lio versus Buddy Murphy or a ladder match to really highlight that brand. Possibly Asuka defending against a Raw talent. Or when somebody says, who's going to face Asuka? Everybody's going to face Asuka. And she enters the Battle Royal. On the other end of things, EC3 winning a Battle Royal. If you don't have anything for Braun, maybe you throw him in there and he wins it. That's always an option. Intercontinental title, maybe a multiple person match with Braun, Balor, Lashley, Angle, or you go Balor versus Braun, because you can't run back Lashley versus Balor at that show. That is
no, please
heatless.
God,
no. The SmackDown tag team titles, they've just got an abundance of options there. They can do whatever the hell they want. Ladder match seems the possible thing. And if you don't do that in the US title or the Cruiserweight title, that one makes sense to me. Shane's going to jump off something. It's crazy. It'd be cool. Cena versus Drew McIntyre. You got to do that. They set it up.
Yeah.
Taker versus Elias. This is a squash match, a complete squash match. Elias comes out, he performs, he gets his heat. Undertaker comes out, does his entrance. But still, that segment is going to be as long as the U.S. title segment because you got to get through Elias singing, you got to get through the Taker's entrance, and then the squash. So that's there. Charlotte, Becky, Ronda, that's obviously that headlining. That's there. That's ready to go. You do it. Rollins versus Lesnar, the same. And then we have Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston or Bray Wyatt, both good options. So I had some of those listed multiple times. So that's 12 matches. There's still room on this card to get other people on it. That's
Rey and Andrade.
Rey and Andrade. Yeah, Rey and Andrade, hair or mask. You got to do that too. So still one more match because they had 14 slots last year. Maybe they'll scale that back this year. Joe's got to get on the show. Yeah, Joe's got to get on the show. You still got Alexa Bliss out there. You have some names that could be added to this show and really do some special things. Joe winning the Battle Royal wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Just going to say that. Yeah.
It coming down to Joe and EC3, I could think of far worse things than that. If Ember Moon is ready for WrestleMania, I wouldn't mind her doing the old, hey, SmackDown women are challenging for our title. What about us? Also, you've got Dean Ambrose. What is he going to do on this show? Do you add him to the Battle Royal and beef that up, or do you get him in a singles match? Other than that, this show is pretty well booked on our part, and I think it looks like a damn good one.
6 stars.
We're geniuses. It's what we do. I love doing these Fightful books at shows. I love it. At first, I'm like, man, will this be hard for us to do? Then we get in that role, and one match leads into the other, leads into the other, leads into the other, leads into the other. Guys, I want to know what you guys think. What kind of cards do you all want to see at WrestleMania, and how do you want to get there? Hit us with comments. Hit us with recommendations. Simon, let the people know where they can follow you on social media and where they can get your name wrong.
Name is not Jason at SI1927 on Twitter.
Guys, thank you all so much. This show was a blast. Any parting words?
Nah, I'm just looking forward to seeing them do the complete opposite to what we say.
Yes. We made sense. Listen to this. We made sense of a card in an hour. We did not prepare for this show. The last time that Simon and I spoke before this show was like 3 days ago, confirming that we were going to do this show. And we were able to put together what I consider a pretty solid, coherent show that kind of writes itself in an hour.
Logic.
It's what we do. Logic. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, we're out.